Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the Ohio University ceremonial mace, which is carried by the Chair of Faculty Senate, Dr. Joe McLaughlin. The arrival of the mace marks the official opening of this Ohio University commencement ceremony. We ask that you remain standing for the procession of the platform party, the presentation of the colors, and the singing of our national anthem.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ohio University's Fall Commencement Ceremony. As chair of the Ohio University Board of Trustees, I am privileged to convene today's ceremony and to welcome the graduates who are being honored, members of their families, and their friends. Now I am pleased to introduce the presentation of the colors, which will be escorted by our Army and Air Force Reserve Officers Training Corps. Following the presentation, please join Mr. Gregory Hoffmeister for the singing of the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's earthy light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. As president of Ohio University, and on behalf of our faculty and staff, I'm delighted to welcome family, friends, and most especially our graduates to the Ohio University Fall Commencement. As we begin this ceremony, I would like to recognize the distinguished guests who are with us this afternoon. I ask that they stand as they are introduced and remain standing. Audience, please hold your applause until all guests have been introduced. Please join me in welcoming members and officials of Ohio University's Board of Trustees. Our academic officials, our administrative officials, our Senate representatives, and our commencement speaker, the Charles Ping Professor of Humanities and Distinguished Professor of Classics and World Religions, Dr. Thomas H. Carpenter. Let's give them a round of applause. Please be seated. I would also like to acknowledge some special guests who are seated to my left in the lower balcony. The First Lady of Ohio University, Ruthie Nellis, members of my executive staff, guests of our platform party members, and a very special friend of mine, Oregon State University President Ed Ray, who is here to celebrate his son Michael having received his Bachelor of Science in Applied Management this past summer and is walking in today's ceremony. Congratulations, Michael, and President Ray, too. This is a very special day for you both, and let's give all of our special guests a round of applause as well. Finally, I would like to recognize those among you who serve and protect our country. Some of you will be entering the armed forces as officers, a privilege you have earned through your completion of the Reserve Officer Training Corps program. Others of you have already served our nation. At this time, I would like to recognize all of our military and veteran students and cadets of the ROTC program for their past, present, and upcoming service to our country. With these graduates, please rise and let's give them a round of applause. Thank you, and you may be seated. And thank you for your service. Today, I want you to picture a country disillusioned with war and political scandals. An unlikely presidential candidate emerges who goes on to surprise many and win the White House. In a significant political upset, rage, division, and racial tension are boiling over in the form of protests and riots. All the while, our country emerges from a financial crisis to see unemployment rates and the stock market improving and technology evolving quickly. There's a sense of uncertainty. You think I'm talking about the present day, don't you? But in fact, I'm referring to what was the Vietnam War, the scandal, Watergate. The political upset was between Jimmy Carter and Gerald Ford. The protests and the riots emerging from a financial crisis to improving the economy, the technological advances, all this was happening when I graduated with my undergraduate degree in the 1970s. 40 years ago, the future felt uncertain. And I bring this up because I know many of you feel, for a variety of reasons, that 2017 is an uncertain time too. But I want to empower you today. I want you to feel confident that the education you just received will serve you well, just as education served me well during the turbulent 1970s when I too felt unsure of the future. I realized as a young man that the common denominator to everyone I knew who had special opportunities was education. Education has the power to change a family's economic destiny in a single generation. It certainly did with me. I'm what you would consider a first-generation college student success story. So is Ruthie, my wife. Neither of our parents had four-year college degrees, and we've tried to instill those same values in the two sons we were blessed with. That is the power of higher education and how it can change a family's destiny. 1/3 of Ohio University's first-year students this fall are first generation, and we pride ourselves in providing access to academic excellence. I stand before you today because people around me believed in me enough for me to believe in myself. And I know that many of you are here today for that same reason. Today, you redefined your own destiny and the destinies of your descendants. You are now equipped with the knowledge and the power to be the change agents we need in this country and the world. We are each a compilation of all of our life experiences, and colleges pack a whole lot of life experiences into only 4 years. As I'm sure you now realize, many of the lessons you learned that matter the most are not necessarily gleaned from the textbooks, but rather from the interactions you've had with one another, or the situations you've witnessed on campus, or the thought-provoking debates and discussions you've heard in class. These things all translate into basic life skills and foundational ideologies that you will take with you long after today. These lessons are important because they allow you to understand the increasingly diverse world we all must share. They allow you to empathize with the hardships and struggles of people who are different than you. These lessons in diversity make us better global citizens, better Americans, and better neighbors. As we near the end of our time together, I ask you, who do you want to be after today? I hope your time at Ohio University has made that answer a bit clearer. But know that the answer today may not be the same in 5 years, or 10 years, or 20, and that's okay, because the world doesn't stop evolving, and neither should you. Your professions will continue to evolve, and in order to remain relevant and employed, you must evolve too. Never stop learning. Never stop learning. Instill a curiosity and thirst for knowledge in your children. Raise the next generation to be kind and compassionate. Employers will always be looking for critical thinkers, good communicators, collaborators, problem solvers, leaders. These skills you acquired right here at Ohio University. So take your lessons, your new skills, and use them for good. And remember, no matter how far from this university you roam, Athens will always be your home. No matter how much our world changes, everyone in this room will continue to share a common bond that will never be broken. We are and always will be Bobcats. And now I invite to the podium Dr. Elizabeth Sayers, our Vice Provost for Undergraduate Education and Dean of University College, to recognize the fine faculty of Ohio University who helped to bring you to this proud moment in your academic journeys.
Thank you, President Nellis. I have the distinct pleasure and privilege of recognizing the outstanding faculty of Ohio University. You have played a major role in helping today's graduating students reach this important milestone in their lives. Thank you for your dedication to our students, a dedication that starts with your commitment to your respective professions. Through your research and creative activity, you are helping to address some of our society's greatest challenges. You're not just imparting knowledge, you are also expanding the limits of what is known. And your scholarly endeavors have helped make Ohio University a world-class institution of higher education. Thank you for caring so deeply about our students. You give freely of yourselves, both in and out of the classroom. You have developed, taught, and revised courses, advised students, arranged co-curricular learning opportunities, and written lots and lots of letters of recommendation. You've helped first-year students overcome homesickness and seniors overcome interview anxiety, and you share your insights and help develop your students' critical thinking skills while at the same time encouraging those students to challenge and surpass what you yourself have achieved. Thank you for sharing your intellectual enthusiasm for your discipline. You've invited your students to actively participate alongside you in your research, not just as learners, though they have certainly learned much from you, but also as producers of new knowledge and creative activity. You model professionalism through your interactions with your colleagues. The example you have set for today's graduating students will influence them throughout their careers as they build productive relationships of their own. In summary, your contributions have created a transformative experience for the graduates we celebrate today. The time and energy you have invested in these graduates is an investment in their personal development and future success. So on behalf of the university, I want to thank you for all your hard work and your dedication to teaching, to research, and to service. Your work is the very heart of the mission of Ohio University.
Thank you, Dr. Sayers. To be sure, faculty are the heart and soul of the Ohio University experience, and so today we couldn't be more proud to have one of our own deliver the commencement address. Dr. Thomas H. Carpenter is the Charles J. Ping Professor of Humanities and Distinguished Professor of Classics at Ohio University, where he has taught since 1997. He is also the director of the Ping Institute for the Teaching of the Humanities and served as chair of the Department of Classics and World Religions for 5 years. Trained as a classical archaeologist, he holds degrees from Johns Hopkins, Harvard, and Oxford, and is an expert in ancient Greek religion and iconography. He has published numerous books and articles, one of which, Art and Myth in Ancient Greece, has been translated into 6 languages. Please welcome with me your 2017 Fall Commencement Speaker, Distinguished Professor Dr. Thomas Carpenter.
Thank you, President Nellis, and greetings to you all. In a short time, a matter of minutes really, each of you will leave this hall with a diploma in hand. That diploma marks the successful completion of your course of study at Ohio University, the end of several years of life here, and the end of your formal academic training here. Yet this ceremony, as you can see on your program, is called a commencement, a beginning. To commence is to begin, so this ceremony, in fact, marks the beginning of a new stage in your life. Most of you will experience many more commencements or beginnings in the coming years. 10 years from now, you may hold positions that don't even exist today, and few of you will have careers that are directly related to your undergraduate majors. In fact, 10 years from now, few of you will be able to remember much specific information that you learned in classes here. I remember a conversation I had many years ago with a wise old dean at MIT. He said, "Most of what you need to know to function well in a job or in daily life, you learn after you graduate from college. What a good college has taught you," he said, "are methods. Methods for answering different types of questions. And if we at Ohio University have taught you well, you will have learned ways of approaching problems. You will have retained the programs, if not the data, and that will serve you well." My own life has had innumerable commencements since college. none foreseeable from the start. When I graduated from college, it never crossed my mind that I might someday be a university professor. I thought I was a poet, or at least a novelist, and I spent a year on a small Greek island writing and thinking. The thinking was good, but alas, the writing wasn't. So I went back to the States to be a school teacher for some years, then on to Rome to teach there. But all along, I had this underlying fascination with archaeology and the cultures of the ancient Mediterranean that I kept ignoring, until one day I realized that knowledge of that world was what I truly wanted, a realization which, at the ripe old age of 34, led me to doctoral studies. As I look back, I see what might be called a non-linear path, where all the zigs and zags that led me to where I am now were essential. So, with your new beginnings in mind, and knowing that most of your careers will follow non-linear paths, I want to give you two anecdotes as caveats that point to obstacles you need to recognize. I am a classical archaeologist, so my anecdotes inevitably draw from the ancient Mediterranean world. Someday, you may go to the sacred site of Delphi in Greece, where the oracle of Apollo gave prophecies for more than 1,000 years. In the museum at Delphi there, you will see a famous sculpture showing the Greek gods fighting giants, one of the last mythical battles over enemies of civilization. For Greek archaeologists, this sculpture is as famous as the Colosseum is for Romans. Since it was found by the French in the 1890s, archaeologists and art historians have made pilgrimages to Delphi to see it, and today it appears in all textbooks in Greek art and archaeology. But from the start, there have been debates about the meaning of the scene and the identity of some of the gods depicted there. I myself have been involved in some of those debates. So, we archaeologists have stood in front of it, looking and puzzling. Until one day, a few years ago, mind you, more than 100 years after it went on display, a bright German archaeologist looked at it when it was illuminated by the raking sunlight of an autumn afternoon and said, "I think there are inscriptions on the base." Indeed, there were ghosts of inscriptions that had been painted on. The paint had worn away, but left shadows, only visible in certain lights. Ultraviolet examinations later revealed all of them. My point is that hundreds of well-trained archaeologists had looked at it for over a century and had seen what everyone else had seen. We saw what we expected to see, and that kept us from looking creatively and seeing what was truly there. All too often, we see the world through others' eyes rather than looking anew with our own. We see what we expect to see, and all too often this keeps us from recognizing exciting new potentials, new commencements. My second brief caveat comes from a recent experience in the city of Split in Croatia. While there, my wife, who is also an archaeologist, and I wanted to see a particular ancient building, but found that it was inaccessible to careful examination and photography. My wife had seen the name of a Croatian archaeologist, so we went into a nearby bookstore to see if they had books by him that dealt with the building, hopefully in English and not Croatian. The bookseller said no, they didn't have any books by him, but he said the archaeologist's wife works at a community center just down the street, and we might ask her. Taking a chance, we decided to find her and went down a very dark medieval alley If you've been to Split, you know the city is a medieval city, and up a very dark flight of stairs. When we knocked on the door, a grumpy old man in a black coat and a black hat opened the door and said in English, "What do you want?" When we explained that we wanted to see Anna, he grumbled, "She's not here, maybe here this afternoon," and closed the door. Not an auspicious start, particularly when we weren't certain what we might find. What could the archaeologist's wife tell us, anyway? So we went and had lunch and debated whether it was worth going back, given the unfriendly reception and the ambiguity of what might come of it. Our choice was to go back to the hotel and take a nap, which was attractive, or to go back up the dark stairs. We chose the latter, and that made all the difference. We were warmly received by Anna, who introduced us to her husband, Goran, who spent the next 2 days showing us every aspect of the ancient building, which later became an important monument in my wife's most recent book. More than that, at our urging, other prominent archaeologists have gone to Split to see Goran and the monument, and we nominated him for a prestigious Crest Foundation lectureship, which he was awarded. Just a month ago, he finished a 14-lecture tour all across the United States with his last stop here in Athens. The point of all this is that had we been discouraged by the grumpy old man in the black hat, none of this would have happened. In short, my message is that you never know which grumpy old man is standing in the way of your future. Another commencement if you let him. Finally, I want to congratulate you all on your achievements that are being celebrated by this ceremony. Earning a degree from Ohio University is not a small thing. In a few minutes, when you take your degree in hand, you become part of a noble tradition that stretches back more than 200 years to the first Ohio University commencement in 1815, when Thomas Ewing was one of 2 students to receive a Bachelor of Arts degree at the age of 27, having followed what can only be described as a non-linear path, from farmer to surveyor to U.S. Senator to Secretary of the Treasury to Secretary of the Interior to an advisor to Abraham Lincoln. With Thomas Ewing in mind, I hope each of you has many more vital and exciting commencement in your futures. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Carpenter, for your inspiring words. Graduates, each of you is achieving a personal milestone today, and each of you have had special support in achieving your educational goal. For many of you, it was your parents. For others, it was your spouse or significant other, your children or family members, your colleagues, or your very good friends. They were there for you every step of the way, believing in you and encouraging you when you yourself may have had some doubts. Graduates, before we award you the degrees you have worked so very hard to earn, please take just a moment to stand and say thank you to everyone in the audience who has supported you during your educational endeavor. Please stand and give your friends, family a round of applause. Thank you, and you may be seated. Regardless of your approach, your graduation represents what lives within you: passion, determination, and hope brought to you through this moment. Each of you has brought unique characteristics and special talents to Ohio University and you have made our university richer by your presence for that, and we thank you. I now invite Dean Elizabeth Sayers back to the podium to present the candidates for doctoral degrees. Dr. Sayers.
Thank you, President Nellis. The doctoral degrees that we are about to award are the highest academic degrees in their fields. They are awarded to those who have demonstrated academic or clinical mastery in their field and successfully completed and defended a dissertation. The faculty member accompanying the doctoral candidate is either the student's major advisor or another faculty member who has been closely associated with the student's academic program. Candidates for the Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Education, please stand. President Nellis, these students have completed all the requirements for their doctoral programs. Accordingly, I have the very great honor of presenting them to you for conferral of their degrees.
On the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority vested in me by the Ohio University Board of Trustees, I confer upon you the degree Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Education with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining hereto. We welcome you to the company of scholars. Congratulations. You will now be called to the platform by Dr. Joe Shields, our Vice President for Research and Dean of the Graduate School.
Candidates for Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Education degrees, please come forward.
Candidates from the College of Arts and Sciences, Jennifer Marie Kowalski. Rumita Laha, escorted by Dr. Stephen Bergmeyer. Daniel Beeman Nething, escorted by Dr. Michael Held. Margaret Mary Messett, escorted by Dr. Mary Kate Hurley. Rachel Ann Ryerson, escorted by Dr. Sherry Graydon. Clifton Samuel Mixon, escorted by Dr. Julie Sarno Owens. Berenea Serrano, escorted by Dr. Julie Sarno Owens. Alex Holdaway, escorted by Dr. Julie Sarno Owens. William Alexander Woody, escorted by Dr. Peggy Zocala. Adriana Van Meter, escorted by Dr. Julie Suhr. Kruthi Deepak Patel, escorted by Dr. Julie Suhr. Ashley Nicole Howell, escorted by Dr. Julie Suhr. Elizabeth Megan Bollinger, escorted by Dr. Julie Suhr. Juan Wang, escorted by Dr. Zhaozhou Chen. Munindra Singh, escorted by Dr. Robert Colvin. Laros Khoshravi Khorashad, escorted by Alexander Govorov. Brad T. Idle, escorted by Dr. Patrick Bar Malech. Xiaofei Li, escorted by Dr. Jeffrey Vancouver. Leah Rose Halper, escorted by Dr. Jeffrey Vancouver. Xiao Liu, escorted by Dr. Alan Showalter. Thank you, Associate Dean Hatch. Candidates from the Scripps College of Communication. Jason Lovins, escorted by Dr. Stephanie Takanen. Sarah Patton Sagardia, escorted by Dr. Stephanie Takanen. Nurianti Binti Jali, escorted by Dr. Drew McDaniel. Thank you, Associate Dean Newton. Candidates from the Patton College of Education. Kevin Ray Davis, escorted by Dr. Charles Lowry.